2. When I open my eyes, the exam room is gone. I turn around in my seat. The pain that consumed me before has diminished, but it's replaced by fear, confusion, and disbelief, which all attack me at once, overpowering the part of my brain that might actually be able to comprehend what's happening. Is this a dream? A hallucination? My legs quake as I push to my feet, my fingers clutching at the chair to hold me to the one real thing in this delusion. The air is thick with dust, but through the impairing fog, I recognize my surroundings. I glimpse the familiar sight of the heart in the details crumbling around me. But there are no people crowding the streets, no lights, no sign of life at all. There's only me, standing here all alone, as the world I once knew succumbs to destruction. Panic boils beneath my skin, squeezing my lungs in a vice grip. My eyes close on instinct, but some unseen power wrenches them open again, forcing me to watch every second of this nightmare, to see what I can only assume must be the end of the world. In the blink of an eye, the destruction explodes in a torrent of flame, devouring everything. A blinding flash burns across my vision, but when it clears, the desolate landscape is nowhere to be seen. Did I just imagine that? Sweat suctions the thin fabric of my clothes to my body, and I wince away from the horrible screaming that it takes me a moment to realize is coming from me. I clamp my mouth shut to silence my building distress and tighten my grasp on the chair. Wisps of darkness dance in front of my eyes, and as they fade, I'm both relieved and terrified to find myself back in the exam room. My chest constricts as I glance around at the other examinees, every last one wearing the same wide-eyed expression. Despite the silence, I know what they're thinking. Those words from the news broadcast earlier vibrate through my head like the pitchy whine of a bad frequency. Enemy of the state, their faces all say to me. A sharp metallic stench fills my nose, and I stumble backward, suddenly lightheaded and nauseous. I touch a shaking hand to my nostrils and pull it away, a strained whimper escaping my lips when I register the blood coating my fingers. Only one coherent thought rises from the depths of my panic. Something's wrong with me. My head snaps up at the click-clack of footsteps, my attention narrowing on the moderator entering from the door in the back corner intended for staff. The harsh look she gives me slices through my terror. I can't stay here. This realization slams into me, knocking the air from my lungs, and without another thought, I lunge forward and smack my hand against the button on my desk, submitting my unfinished exam. I don't have a plan, and I definitely haven't considered the consequences of what I'm doing. All I know is I need to get out of this building. Grabbing my bag and coat off the back of my chair, I sprint for the exit, waving my wrist in front of the sensor controlling the lock for the door, which scans to check if I've turned in my exam. The response is immediate, as the light turns green and the door springs open, granting me my much-needed freedom. The lock bolts back into place behind me, separating me from the other students still in the exam room. Good, fewer people to follow me. Not that any of them would ever dare to get involved. As I race down the hallway, I feel the ghostly weight of the other examinees' stares on my skin, burnt into my back like an unwanted tattoo. I try to shake off the memory of the look they all gave me, but I find it again in every passing expression along my route to escape. Confused glances follow me in my panic. I rush into the reception area for the 5th floor and come to a grinding halt in front of the elevator. Keeping my eyes tilted downward, a stinging pain radiates across my palm as I slap it repeatedly against the call button. Why are elevators never on the floor where you need them? "Excuse me, miss?" The woman with short hair calls after me. The elevator arrives in the nick of time, and I bound inside to escape her just as she steps out from behind the counter. Letting out a breath, I slump against the back wall, taking in the mirrored surface of the steel doors, where my distorted reflection stares at me, as if to ask me what the hell I'm doing. I shake my head, mortified by my appearance. My skin is ashen and glistens with sweat. My hair is plastered to my forehead and cheeks. My eyes are so bloodshot, the whites of them are barely even visible. Red smears stain the bottom half of my face. I pull on my coat and press the cream-colored sleeve against my nose to staunch the bleeding. My gaze darts back up to my disfigured reflection and hangs there as my descent continues. The seconds seem to drag as I consider what grim fate awaits me the moment these doors open again. I don't know what to expect. I wasn't even thinking when I ran out of the exam room. I should have composed myself and finished what I came here to do. Second chances aren't given in our society, and it's very likely, if not guaranteed, that my behavior before will come back to haunt me. Second chances don't exist. This won't be forgiven. The number signaling for the ground floor glows blue as the elevator slows to a stop and the doors slide open, offering me up to my fate like a sacrificial lamb to the slaughter. To my surprise, no one is waiting to apprehend me. The lobby is empty, except for the balding receptionist who doesn't spare me a glance. The exam moderator and short-haired woman upstairs must not have reported me yet. The vestibule beyond the lobby beckons me onward, but I falter, unsure if I should go any farther. Maybe if I turn myself in now, the state will be lenient and let me off with a warning. Maybe it will show mercy. A choked laugh rises up in my throat. No, I tell myself, it won't. Because the state doesn't know what mercy is. Gritting my teeth, I focus on the one thing standing between me and the way out. And with one more backward glance at the man, I race toward the turnstiles up ahead. All I have to do is prick my finger so the computer can verify my identity. A little blood, that's it, and then I can leave. I press my finger to the small silver pad, offering the turnstile payment in blood, and silently thanking whoever it was who thought to leave the exit turnstiles in this building unmanned. I don't even wait for the numbing agent, pressing onward the instant the partition slides open. A burning sensation radiates across my skin, my finger throbbing in protest, but I'm too set on getting out of here to care about pain. I press on through the revolving glass doors into the welcoming chill of autumn. The breeze cools my flushing skin, but I'm too preoccupied with my fear to be able to enjoy the relief. The people walking past me on the sidewalk all keep a wide berth, eyeing me uncertainly. I might as well have a sign over my head with the word danger written across it in large red letters. Their reactions don't surprise me. Every last person in the heart lives in fear, and I've given them cause to be afraid and wary of my erratic behavior. As far as they're concerned, I'm a lost cause. I pull up my coat collar and press my face deeper into my sleeve, shrinking into myself. My nose doesn't seem to be bleeding anymore, but I'm too scared to pull away the fabric in case someone recognizes me. Better to keep my identity obscured. I retrace my steps to Central Station, keeping my eyes on the ground as I try to walk at a normal pace and not run. My pulse quickens when I fumble, nearly dropping my rail card and crash into a woman standing to my left. Muttering a half-hearted apology, I thrust myself through the nearest available turnstile. I make it to the platform just as the next train arrives. Rushing on board, I head for a seat in the back, sinking against the wall of the car. I don't dare move a muscle the whole ride home. In the 20 minutes the journey takes, my thoughts spiral out of control, bringing me to the brink of hysteria. Stop running, my head tells me. Turn around. Turn yourself in now before it's too late. My fear is strong, but my will to survive in this moment is stronger. When the train reaches my stop, I jump out of my seat, and for the first time in my life, I don't politely wait my turn to disembark. My hands wedge between the bodies in front of me, pushing forward through the crowd like small battering rams. Disgruntled complaints reverberate in my ears, but I ignore them, leaping onto the platform and race through the station without looking back. Once free of the confines of underground travel, I encounter fewer people. Witnesses, my brain has the nerve to remind me. At this time of day, the roads are mostly empty, as everyone is at work or on the train heading for one appointment or another. Regardless, I keep my head down as I walk and slow my pace to avoid further unwanted attention. When I reach my street a few minutes later, I choke out a laugh at the welcome sight of my family's designated living quarters, 2 blocks down. I'm almost there. Sanctuary is almost in reach. Our home is one in a row of terraced houses. Out of the 7 zones in the heart, we're fortunate enough to live in Zone 2. Zone 1 is reserved for high-ranking officials and other citizens of importance, and Zones 2 through 7 house everyone else. Residences are all allocated based on job placement, status, and wealth. The closer you live to the center of the city, the better off you are. When I was younger, we lived on the border to Zone 1, but our quarters were downsized a number of years ago due to the shrinking size of my family. I don't have any siblings, and my father, well, he's not around anymore. For the last 11 years, it's just been Mother and me. I run up the steps, skipping 2 at a time, and sweep my wrist across the security panel positioned above the handle on the door. The lock clicks open as soon as the scanner registers my chip, acknowledging me as a resident of this household. Throwing a nervous glance over my shoulder, I race inside and slam the door shut behind me. My heart jackhammers in my chest, and I close my eyes, leaning back against the wall. Strangled breaths weave in and out of my lips. It's strange. I know I'm in trouble, or if I'm not already, I will be soon, really soon. Yet now that I'm home, the events of today seem more like a bad dream than reality. Right now in the refuge of my house, I can almost forget them and pretend that I'm safe. Once my heart rate and breathing have returned to normal, I push away from the wall and head for the stairs. Mother won't be home for several hours yet, so I have some time to think of a lie to explain what happened with my exam, assuming I'm not dragged away to detention before then. My feet pause beneath me at the muffled sound of voices coming from the other end of the hallway. No one is supposed to be home. "Mother?" I squeak, the word catching in my throat. My footsteps echo off the white tiled floor as I shift away from the stairs and continue toward the reception room. Despite the sudden silence, I get the sense I'm not the only one here. The faint glimmer of light at the end of the corridor only confirms my suspicions. At this time of day, all the lights should be off. "Mother?" I call again, my tone strained. "I'm in the reception room," she answers. Terror rushes through me as 1,000 thoughts fly through my head. Why is she home? She shouldn't be home. Does she know? What is she going to do? I scramble toward the sliding interior door, which is slightly ajar, first having the sense to take a look at myself in the mirror hanging on the wall at the end of the hallway. My coat absorbed most of the blood from my nose, but I still look ghostly pale, sick even. Something's wrong with me, I think for the second time today. The realization twists my gut. I scrub my sleeve across my face to erase the dried remnants of blood flaking on my pasty skin, hoping Mother won't notice how bedraggled I am. I then shrug off the coat and stroll into the room where she waits for me to break the news of my exam. Keeping my expression neutral, as if today has been just another ordinary day. The moment I cross the threshold, it becomes clear at once that my facade won't fool Mother. She glares at me from her seat on the sofa, flanked by 2 soldiers holding guns. Enforcers. The thought is like a knife to my chest. I would like to say I'm shocked by how quickly they've acted. But the state's policing units are always efficient, handling anyone who might pose a threat. But am I a threat? I had a panic attack, that's all. Sure, I didn't finish my exam, but is that such a big deal? Does what I did really warrant this kind of reaction? The enforcers rise to their feet, moving toward me in suits of black armor, their faces masked by opaque helmets shielding their eyes. My mother stands alongside them, and when she meets my gaze, it's as if she's a different person than the woman I've known these past 18 years. The distance in her face sets me on edge. The way she looks at me. I've only ever seen that expression once before. "There's nowhere to go, Wynter," she murmurs. "Submit." My eyes spring wide, and the fear hits me all over again, shattering my brief illusion of safety. Submit? To what? My mind races with the possibilities, each one more dreadful than the last. Chances are I'll be sent to detention for immediate re-education. That's what the state always does to anyone who fails their exam. Not that I've ever seen or met anyone who's been reintegrated into society after that. Not that I would. The dregs stick to Zone 7. I open my mouth to say something, to plead my case, but my voice catches on a grunt when I take a defensive step away from the soldiers, my back slamming into something solid behind me. Whipping around, I stare up into the expressionless face of a third man, blocking my only escape. The white laboratory coat he's wearing confuses me. He isn't clothed in the enforcer's regulation uniform, so who is he, and why is he here? I barely have time to consider these questions before he plunges a needle into the side of my neck. My surroundings blur as the room goes hazy, and suddenly my body is unbearably heavy, as if gravity is trying to crush me down to the ground. With what strength I can manage, I reach out to my mother. "Help me," I beg, but the words don't pass my lips. My knees buckle beneath me, and as my eyes flutter closed, her voice floods my ears, unfeeling and cold. "Do what you must," is the last thing I hear.